When Robert Anderson turned 75, he often found himself reflecting on the nature of life, health, and longevity. His father, Charles, had passed away at the age of 78, while his mother, Margaret, lived until 81. Robert himself was a retired school principal living in Portland, Oregon. He remained active, enjoyed long walks with his wife Linda, and spent weekends visiting his grandchildren. But whenever he gathered with friends at the local community center, a common topic always surfaced. Why was it so rare for people to live well beyond 80? One afternoon, Robert sat with his lifelong friend William Carter, who had just celebrated his 77th birthday. They were sipping coffee at a small diner near the park, and William leaned in with a curious look. "You ever notice," he said, "how most people don't seem to make it past 80? Some do, sure, but it's not common. I wonder why that is." That single question sparked a conversation that would grow into a long exploration for Robert. He decided to spend the following weeks reading articles, speaking with doctors, and listening to real-life stories of older neighbors and acquaintances. He wasn't looking for medical jargon or abstract theories. What he wanted were genuine, relatable explanations that people could understand and use in their daily lives. Over time, Robert uncovered 5 surprising patterns, unexpected reasons that quietly shorten lives before 80. These weren't dramatic, obvious causes like sudden accidents or rare diseases. Instead, they were subtle, often ignored, but deeply impactful. Each reason carried a story, and each story reminded him of someone he knew personally. The first story came from his neighbor, Mary Collins, who was 82 and living alone since her husband passed away. She told Robert about the crushing loneliness she endured during her late 70s. Although she had adult children, they lived in other states and visited only occasionally. "It's not just being alone," Mary explained. "It's feeling invisible. When you feel like nobody needs you, your body starts giving up." Robert realized that isolation is one of the quiet killers of older adults. People might still be physically capable, but when they lack social bonds, their spirits weaken and their health soon follows. The second pattern revealed itself through Robert's own experience. After retirement, he found himself less active. Days could slip by with him simply watching television or reading. He remembered his doctor, Dr. James Mitchell, warning him, "Robert, inactivity can shorten your life faster than you think. Muscles weaken, balance declines, and before long, even minor falls can have major consequences." Robert reflected on how easy it was for older people to slow down and how dangerous it could be to stop moving altogether. A third lesson came from Linda's cousin, Susan, who struggled with nutrition in her later years. At 79, she admitted she had lost interest in cooking. "It's too much effort," she said, often replacing meals with toast or processed snacks. What Robert learned from watching her decline was that poor nutrition, especially in older years, silently chips away at the body. Lack of vitamins, proteins, and balanced meals doesn't cause immediate harm, but over time, it accelerates aging, weakens immunity, and opens the door to illness. The fourth unexpected reason emerged when Robert attended the funeral of his friend David's brother, who passed away at 76. He had been financially stressed for years, worried about bills and medical expenses. Stress, Robert realized, doesn't end after retirement. Many older adults live with constant financial anxiety, and this unrelenting stress takes a toll on the heart, the immune system, and the mind. Finally, the fifth reason revealed itself in the life of a woman named Eleanor, a retired nurse Robert met at the library. Eleanor confessed that she stopped visiting doctors after her 70s. She didn't like hospitals, feared bad news, and decided to just live with whatever came. At 79, she suffered a stroke that might have been prevented if she had continued with regular checkups. Robert learned that many older people quietly avoid medical care, convincing themselves it's unnecessary or too frightening. But skipping care often means letting small, treatable issues grow into life-shortening conditions. As Robert gathered these stories, he began shaping them into a personal philosophy. Loneliness, inactivity, poor nutrition, financial stress, and avoidance of medical care. These were the 5 unexpected reasons that so often cut life short before 80. They weren't shocking headlines, but small, creeping habits and circumstances that wore people down without them realizing it. Robert decided to share his insights at the community center. One Friday evening, he stood before a group of 20 older adults, with Linda sitting proudly in the front row. He told Mary's story to explain the dangers of isolation, encouraging everyone to call a friend daily or join a local club. He spoke of inactivity, reminding them that even simple walks could add years to life. He emphasized the importance of cooking healthy meals, no matter how small, and suggested cooking groups for fun. He highlighted financial stress, urging them to seek advice, support, or part-time hobbies that could ease worry. And he spoke gently about medical care, urging his peers not to fear checkups, but to embrace them as tools for extending life. The response was overwhelming. People nodded, asked questions, and shared their own experiences. William stood up afterward and said, "Robert, you may have just added years to our lives tonight." The room filled with laughter, but also a sense of hope. Over the next months, Robert noticed changes among his friends. Mary joined a weekly book club and looked happier than ever. Susan started attending a cooking workshop for seniors. David sought financial counseling that helped reduce his stress. Even Eleanor, despite her stroke, began attending regular checkups again. These small shifts, Robert realized, made a huge difference. As he reflected on his journey, Robert understood that living beyond 80 wasn't simply about luck or genetics. It was about choices, awareness, and community. He felt grateful that he could contribute to helping others see life not as a countdown, but as a series of opportunities to thrive. One evening, as the sun set over Portland, Robert sat on his porch with Linda. He looked at her and smiled. "You know," he said softly, "we may not control everything, but we sure can control how we live today. And if today is good, maybe tomorrow will be, too." Linda squeezed his hand and replied, "And that's how we'll make it past 80, together." Robert knew then that the greatest secret wasn't just about avoiding those 5 quiet killers, but about embracing life fully, one meaningful day at a time.